Hey everyone, in this guide I'll show you how to get the Thatcher Reborn mod. We'll go to the link in the description in the files section, head to the fabric section and choose your desired version. I've selected one, 20.1 for this example. Click the three buttons and then hit Get File. Once downloaded, make sure to save it in the mods folder. Where's this folder located? It's in %appdata. Go to .minecraft, then to the mods folder. If the mods folder isn't there, you'll need to create it. Right click new folder and name it mods. And here I should have let me see if I can find it. You should see Tet's Reborn here. As you can see, I've got some extra mods too. I don't recommend getting all of them. Just go to relations and get the fabric API reborn core and roughly enough items. Click the middle mouse button, go to files, fabric, and select the same version. Do the same for the other mods. Depending on the mod version, it might ask for, what did it ask me for again? I think it was architecture. If so, download that too, the architecture mod, and that's it. The mod should now be working. How do you get the Tech Reborn manual? This manual can be quite useful or handy. It's crafted using a book and a refined iron ingot. Refined iron ingot is made by smelting iron in a furnace. When you right click, it opens the online wiki. You click yes to proceed and it takes you there, got it? To the online wiki where everything's explained in the left sidebar. All blocks, energies and items are listed. It's a bit cheeky since you crafted the book for in-game info. There's an I want a refund button to get your materials back. How do you get SAP or resin? The main resource for playing Tech Reborn. There are several ways. We can use any type of tree tap, normal or electric, and right click on trees, or we can place a resin basin on a rubber tree. These are the trees here. They look like this, the rubber tree. It'll spawn around and you place this basin. If you put a chest under it, it collects resin. It's crafted like this. It's a bit more advanced crafting, I know, but you could get resin this way or manually if not. To get resin manually, you can use a tree tap to start. Basically, the tree tap works by allowing resin to spawn. I'll break this for a moment so resin accumulates on the tree. As you can see, this is the resin. These dots here, right click and you'll get the resin. You can use a resin basin to automate it, but that's how tree taps work. The mod's initial gems, including sapphire. So where can we find sapphire? Sapphire is found in the overworld from Y20 to Y1. Got it? This means we can find it in mountains, or in caves without blackstone yet, or well, the black rock, the cobbled deep slate, understand? This is what sapphire looks like. Sapphire has many uses. Checking its uses, we see it has unique weapons and tools, which is quite interesting. It even has its own armor set, which is cool. There's also sapphire dust for plates and more. That's for more advanced crafting. Among the initial gems in Tech Reborn, we find the ruby. Rubies look like this and appear from layers 20 to 120. That is, in layers where stone is present, ruby has its own tools, just like sapphire. It also has its own powder, which we can use to start making crystal cables or crystallized fiber cables and ruby plates with many more uses. Another really interesting thing, so that's how we obtain it. How do you get peridot? Basically, peridot is found in the end. You mine this ore here, which is all over the end. You can mine it and get peridot at any height. Also, you might randomly get it while mining other gems like sapphire or ruby. So while mining these, there's a small chance you'll get peridot, like just happened to me. As you can see, the odds aren't super high here, but that's how it works. What's it used for? It has its own tools. Its tools are a bit better than ruby and sapphire ones. Yeah, and definitely better armor, at least the leggings. Beyond that, it lets us make some dust and tinker with a compressor to make plates and get the data storage core. The data storage core has more useful applications like a player detector and the industrial machine casing and so on. Let's move on to minerals. In this section, we first find bauxite. Bauxite, this ore here, is found from Y level minus 64 to 20. That's where bauxite is located, in the overworld of course, and it looks like this. To mine it, you need at least an iron pickaxe. As you can see, you get the block directly. You can process the block in a grinder to get bauxite powder, and that's how you obtain this resource. How can we obtain galena? Essentially, we'll find this element here at the height of galena deposits, at the level of galena veins, at galena's typical elevation in the ground. To turn this element into powder, we pass it through a grinder or an industrial grinder. That's about it. That's how we obtain this element. How is routing achieved? In Overwatch, it's found in layers 25 to 80. To mine it, we need at least a stone pickaxe. Routing is crucial for ingots and has many uses. It's a very useful mineral that's worth keeping. It can be used to make alloys like bronze or capsules, making it quite valuable. How do you obtain raw silver? Raw silver can be found between Y levels minus 24 and 60. Press F3 to see these coordinates. You can mine it using an iron pickaxe. Raw silver is used to create silver ingots. Silver has its own armor, but no tools. It's used to power beacons. It's also used to craft electrum. Important, as we're getting to the good stuff, its plates enable some crafting recipes. That's the gist of what this ore does. How do you obtain raw lead? Raw lead appears between heights 24 and 40. It's quite dark and can be mined with an iron pickaxe. Its main use is to smelt into lead ingots, which are used to craft the red cell battery, the most basic battery type. It's also used for lead plates to make reinforced glass. While not hugely versatile, it's essential for early game batteries. So that's what you need to know about raw lead. How do you get iridium? Iridium looks like this. It's one of the trickiest minerals to find in Tech Reborn, at least in older versions. I'm talking about 1.18 or so. As of today, I'm on 1.20.4, well, 1, 20.1. I'm getting mixed up. Alright, I'm on version 1. 20.1, and it spawns from layer minus 64 to 0. In the past, it only appeared at layer 0, so if you're playing an older version, keep that in mind. It might only be available at layer 0. To mine it, you need a diamond pickaxe. As I said, it's one of the most interesting and rarest minerals. You can smelt it in a blast furnace to get an iridium ingot, and then we're talking about more advanced crafting like a lapatronic ore pack, or iridium plates for an iridium alloy ingot, and a few other things. So that's how you get it. How do you obtain cinnabar? Cinnabar looks like this, similar to quartz. You need at least an iron pickaxe to mine it. We can use this cinnabar to create powder, which is useful in devices like the industrial electrolyzer, for example, to produce mercury or sulfur powder. This lets us create sulfur cells and other interesting elements. It's more for the chemical branch. Not essential, but useful to know about. How do you obtain cinnabar? Cinnabar looks like this, similar to quartz. You need at least an iron pickaxe to mine it. We can use this cinnabar to create powder, which is useful in devices like the industrial electrolyzer, for example, to produce mercury or sulfur powder. This lets us create sulfur cells and other interesting elements. It's more for the chemical branch. Not essential, but useful to know about. How do you get fairlight? Fairlight is easily recognizable by its greenish color and can be found in the nether. You'll need at least an iron pickaxe to mine it, and what you'll get from it is this powder here, which can be processed to obtain zinc and sulfur. Got it? Sulfur is used to create chemical elements, while zinc, besides obvious uses, is for making brass ingots, which are used to create mixed ingots, or brass plates needed for crafting a wire mill. So it's kind of an extra additional element, but it can be quite useful if we know how to use it. How do you get pyrite? Pyrite. According to this element here, it looks like this. It's mined with an iron pickaxe, and when you smelt it in a blast furnace, you'll get refined iron if combined with a calcium cell and bound carbon. Or if you run it through a grinder, which is more common, you'll get pyrite dust. Pyrite dust, besides, for obvious uses, helps us obtain iron, raw iron, and sulfur. For a bit of energy, it's a pretty optional element. We don't need it, but there you have it. How do you get pyrite? Pyrite. According to this element here, it looks like this. It's mined with an iron pickaxe, and when you smelt it in a blast furnace, you'll get refined iron if combined with a calcium cell and bound carbon. Or if you run it through a grinder, which is more common, you'll get pyrite dust. Pyrite dust, besides, for obvious uses, helps us obtain iron, raw iron, and sulfur. For a bit of energy, it's a pretty optional element. We don't need it, but there you have it. How do you get platinum? Platinum comes from sheldonite, got it? Sheldonite is found in the end, looks like this, and when we smelt it, we get platinum. I think this is the only way to get platinum. So what's platinum used for? It's used to make platinum plates, which are used to craft industrial circuits. Industrial circuits are used for chips, tools, and tons of other recipes. As you can see, chips are super important. Here are all the recipes, okay? Platinum's no joke. It's clearly an endgame resource. It's meant to be OP, so that's how you can obtain it. How do you get platinum? Platinum comes from sheldonite, got it? Sheldonite is found in the end, looks like this, and when we smelt it, we get platinum. I think this is the only way to get platinum. So what's platinum used for? It's used to make platinum plates, which are used to craft industrial circuits. Industrial circuits are used for chips, tools, and tons of other recipes. As you can see, chips are super important. Here are all the recipes, okay? Platinum's no joke. It's clearly an endgame resource. It's meant to be OP, so that's how you can obtain it. How do you obtain sodalite? This element is mined with a diamond pickaxe. Basically, to get this sodalite, once we've melted it to dust or put it through a grinder, besides sodalite we can get aluminum, which is interesting because it opens up the aluminum plate branch, enabling all these crafting options we see here, which might seem, it may not look like it, but watch out. It's just unlocked the gas turbine and industrial branches for us, the industrial centrifuge. On the other hand, sodalite itself is used for getting sodium cells, aluminum silicon, and chlorite. So this element provides quite interesting resources. How do you obtain sodalite? This element is mined with a diamond pickaxe. Basically, to get this sodalite, once we've melted it to dust or put it through a grinder, besides sodalite we can get aluminum, which is interesting because it opens up the aluminum plate branch, enabling all these crafting options we see here, which might seem, it may not look like it, but watch out. It's just unlocked the gas turbine and industrial branches for us, the industrial centrifuge. On the other hand, sodalite itself is used for getting sodium cells, aluminum silicon, and chlorite. So this element provides quite interesting resources. How do you get tungsten? This element here looks like this. It's mined with a diamond pickaxe and found in the end. Once we mine it, we'll get raw tungsten, which we can smelt to obtain the ingot. The tungsten ingot, mixed with a steel ingot, can be used to create tungsten steel. Ingot, excuse my pronunciation, and this element is obviously, it should be quite interesting to say the least. On the other hand, tungsten steel can be obtained and transformed into plates. This way we can craft items like quantum armor, the overpowered armor from this mod. So that's how you get tungsten, and these are its uses. How do you get tungsten? This element here looks like this. It's mined with a diamond pickaxe and found in the end. Once we mine it, we'll get raw tungsten, which we can smelt to obtain the ingot. The tungsten ingot, mixed with a steel ingot, can be used to create tungsten steel. Ingot, excuse my pronunciation, and this element is obviously, it should be quite interesting to say the least. On the other hand, tungsten steel can be obtained and transformed into plates. This way we can craft items like quantum armor, the overpowered armor from this mod. So that's how you get tungsten, and these are its uses. How do you get refined iron? Well, to get refined iron, all you need to do is take an iron ingot and put it through a furnace. You can use any type of furnace, by the way, and this process will turn the iron into refined iron. Iron can also be used to make invar, for example, or to make iron plates. What's refined iron used for? It's used to make many basic mod tools, especially for controllers, generators, and industrial centrifuges, and it makes tools that can be incredibly useful. How do you get refined iron? Well, to get refined iron, all you need to do is take an iron ingot and put it through a furnace. You can use any type of furnace, by the way, and this process will turn the iron into refined iron. Iron can also be used to make invar, for example, or to make iron plates. What's refined iron used for? It's used to make many basic mod tools, especially for controllers, generators, and industrial centrifuges, and it makes tools that can be incredibly useful. How do you get rubber? This element is super important. Basically, you get it by collecting sap resin with a tree tap. When you see yellow particles on a rubber log tree, right click on it. Let's see if it appears. Right click on it and you'll collect the resin. Then you simply smelt this resin in any furnace to get rubber. As you can see in the uses, rubber is used to make various tanks, which store different elements like fluids and some cables, so it's incredibly useful. How do you get rubber? This element is super important. Basically, you get it by collecting sap resin with a tree tap. When you see yellow particles on a rubber log tree, right click on it. Let's see if it appears. Right click on it and you'll collect the resin. Then you simply smelt this resin in any furnace to get rubber. As you can see in the uses, rubber is used to make various tanks, which store different elements like fluids and some cables, so it's incredibly useful. How do the interfaces of various tools work in this incredible Tech Reborn mode? Well, let me explain it to help you understand better. I've set up a machine here that basically collects dirt from this chest. The chest doesn't have much dirt now, but it can collect any item. So what's happening is the dirt is gathered from the crusher storage unit, which is essentially a storage device. This storage unit can hold any item, currently storing 652 dirt. When it's done with dirt, it'll store other blocks. We have this recycler that converts dirt into, well, if I apply power, we'll see it turn into scrap, okay? And then on the other hand, I have an auto crafter here that processes the scrap into compressed scrap. Okay, 10 scrap boxes. Let's turn them into matter, alright? It's a process to get matter, but let's focus on using the interface correctly. First, let's talk about cables. There are cables to connect electrical signals, okay? Here's how it works. I put the sun panel here. See? No energy when it's away, but charge when nearby. You can do this at a distance too, got it? Now, about cables and the interface. Let's say we have our chest here, okay? I'll use this chest, it's empty. How can we make it start taking items from the chest? The chest items would be all of these, basically. We crouch down. I'm turning it off. This is already turned off. There it is. Basically, we open it and we need to click here, okay? On this element here, it actually explains it to us, right? It tells us, see? Click on slots to set them up. Orange is output, blue is input. Got it? Output means items exit. Input means they enter. Ctrl plus C copies. Control plus V paste slots. So what we want now is for items to enter, right? The blocks should enter from below, not here. The blocks will come in from the bottom, okay? Let's open it and go to the bottom layer. This is the bottom layer. Click once, it turns blue for input. That's good, okay? So if it's not working, we can use auto input. And there it is, functioning properly. As you can see, it's working correctly, swallowing objects well. Next step. Let's say we now want to use the recycler. We place the recycler and we'll make the output objects go upwards instead of downwards. It's coming up, see? As we can see, nothing's being sent. So we set auto output. You might say, okay, but still nothing's sending. Here's the solution many workers miss. The recycler isn't cooperating because you need to configure it too. Got it? Right now it's taking objects from below and sending them up, but there's nothing up there, so it sends nothing. You need to take the recycler and click configure slot, okay? I assume it picks up here, right? So let's click here. We want the layer below to function as input. We'll set it to auto input, and it should theoretically pick them up. Let me check if the configuration is correct. Indeed it is. Now we're going to grab the quantum solar panel. We'll take a solar panel to power this device so everything works properly. It might not work because I know what's happening with the outputs, okay? I've set the input to blue. The output is orange, got it? There it is. Now it's working. The recycler is receiving items. See how I pick up objects and they disappear from here? They're being eliminated. If we want this to go faster, let's add some speed upgrades. Now it's zipping along. That's more like it. So that's how we can configure all these elements. How does the generator work? This element here has a simple crafting recipe and a clear purpose. It has the ability to generate energy for us. But how can we generate energy with this element? Well, basically with different smelting elements or there we have it, different smelting elements. For example, it accepts charcoal and coal too. Basically, this element takes combustible materials and transforms them into energy. It's not the most powerful, but it's definitely the best to start with. Without a doubt, it's the best for beginners in energy production. There are other generators, but the better the generator, the more expensive its crafting cost will be. Once you craft it, it doesn't matter anymore, but here we'd need 2 or 3 coal, each giving 4,000 points, which is good. How does the thermal generator work? This device here is essentially an energy generator, and as we can see, it generates power using lava. We can use lava in buckets or lava cells, which are made from 4 tin ingots and can be filled. You can add lava using buckets or by loading up lava cells. Basically, this thermal generator converts all the lava we've added into energy. It can store up to 1 million energy units, but generates slowly. It's an active power source, meaning it needs our input to work. The thermal generator is cheap to craft, and that's how it functions. How does the diesel generator work? This device here basically transforms various liquids into energy. It accepts nitro-coal, nitro-diesel, nitro-fuel, and regular diesel. If I search for nitro, we see nitro-diesel, nitro-coal, nitro-fuel, and regular diesel. You'll need to craft these items specifically to generate energy, but while nitro-coal only generates 48,000, nitro-diesel can produce 400,000 energy, which is much more efficient. Let's use nitro-coal so you can see how those 48,000 are processed gradually. Now I'll use nitro-fuel. It won't decrease until it's used up, so we'll wait. As you can see, energy fills quickly with a 10,000 cap, so it'll take a while. That's how this beginner-friendly generator works. It is what it is. How does this semi-fluid generator work? This complex crafted device here converts various fluids into energy. It turns lithium fluid into 60,000 energy, biofuel into 6,000, oil into 16,000, and sodium into 30,000 energy. Let's use lithium, which is the most interesting element. Lithium can be in cube or cell form, it doesn't matter. As you see, it'll start converting this element to energy, taking quite a while. It'll take its time, and we can't add any upgrades. It can store up to 1 million energy, which is quite impressive, and that's how this generator functions. It's an active generator, needing our input to produce energy. How does the plasma generator work? This generator only uses plasma for energy, specifically helium plasma, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's right, helium plasma. You insert a helium plasma capsule here, and it starts converting it to energy. It has a capacity of up to 500 million. It's absolutely incredible. Among active generators, this one is the most powerful. Obviously, obtaining helium plasma is far from easy, not even close. It's a complex process, but generating 8,192,000 energy from 1,000 helium plasma units is amazing. Here we're seeing some of the results. And that's how this generator works. How do solar panels work? Solar panels generate unlimited energy within their storage capacity. By unlimited, I mean passive. It doesn't need player action or maintenance. Just ensure they're not covered. This one's generating now, but if I cover it, it stops. Very important. There are different levels of solar panels. The basic one generates 3 during the day and 0 at night, which is normal because there's no sun at night. It stores 6,000 max. The advanced stores 24000 and generates 12 per tick. The industrial one generates and stores double that. The ultimate panel doubles that again in generation and storage. Plus it generates 8 at night. The quantum panel generating 512 has a max energy of 1 million. Now that's some serious power. Solar panels are simple, just place them and they work. Put this recycler next to a panel and it charges automatically. See, I place panels here, even on fishing nets, and they work. It's not complicated at all. Of course, they can also work with wiring. We might need to store energy for industrial scale processes, just something to consider. How does the water mill work? This element here, okay, is basically going to generate, well, it says here it's a low tier in terms of energy generation. It's not too bad. It has a max storage of 1000. That's true. It generates 32 at a time, which isn't bad at all. And how does this element generate energy? Well, basically when it's surrounded by water. When surrounded by water, I'll place it here, for example. I'm going to put a few blocks here. It'll start generating energy. Now very slowly, almost one by one. If I add more water around it, we'll see it generate a bit faster. The water mill isn't amazing, but that's how it makes energy from water. It's a way to generate energy passively. Compared to others, it's far behind, but that's how it works. How does the windmill work, and why the heck isn't it spinning? Well, basically, the windmill needs to be at least at height 64, okay? I can place as many as I want here, but it'll only start working when I put one at height 64. You might ask, does it generate more power the higher it is? No, it doesn't. Theoretically, no. Theoretically, it just generates power from height 64 and up. As you can see, it doesn't matter if there are blocks above it or obstructions. It works regardless. It can store up to 10,000 energy and is 25% more efficient during storms. It generates 128 energy each tick, and that's how this windmill works. How does the Dragon Egg energy siphon work? This device requires a Dragon Egg. As you know, in Java, the Dragon Egg has no use. The REBORN mod has given it a purpose, and it's basically this. This siphon can store up to 1000 energy units. It lets you generate energy by simply placing a dragon egg. Near the siphon, it must be on top. There it is. And it'll start generating energy for you. That's all there is to it. It has an output rate of 128. Meaning it generates 128 energy units. It's classified as medium tier, and there you have it. We've got the MFSU battery here, which given its capacity, we should probably use energy crystals to charge it. It can store up to 40 million units of power. You'll need high voltage cables since it's a high type generator. It's best to use cables with higher voltage like extreme. And right, I've got its transformer too. So yeah, this battery lets us store 40 million units. At the end of the day, it's just another battery, not much else to explain about it. How the interdimensional SU works, despite its complex sounding name, is simply another battery among the many we have in this mod. To fill this battery, what you need to do is, it allows you to store up to a GE, which must be, I'm not sure, but if M stands for million, then G must be billion. The item used to fill this is the Lapotron, which fills in increments of 10. I'd recommend using the Lapotron and Core Pack to transfer energy between elements because it's incredible. Then we have the EV transformer that can handle extreme voltage, and that's it. This is just another battery like any other. How does the LessU controller work? First, the LessU controller has this item I'm holding and the LessU storage. It's a multi-block element, you could say. We should use superconductor cable, or so it seemed. It doesn't have to be superconductor cable. They suggest it as it's infinite. You choose based on what your controller can generate. It shows input 128, output 58 energy, tier low, so use tier low. Press shift to see it. It shows 54 million storage, but you'll have 1 million when placed. Why is this? It's because the LessU controller needs many LessU storage connections. In other words, if I add another to this LessU controller, it'll have 55 million, and if I add one more, it'll have 56. Now for the $1,000,000 question, if I take this LessU controller and add another, how many millions will it have? Well, let's see. It seems not. I honestly thought it would update, no lie. It seems it doesn't care. Wow, that's new, isn't it? So you can't reuse. Wow, what a ripoff. Okay, so you can't reuse LessU storage. I thought you could. So, do I recommend using this storage? Well, with things like the interdimensional SU, I'm not sure. I guess the interdimensional SU would be a billion capacity battery, while here you go up by 1 million at a time. And, well, I get that this is infinite, I understand that too, but I'm not sure if it's worth placing 1000 LessU blocks or just using an interdimensional SU. I don't see the point of this block or this modular crafting, so to speak. So yeah, that's how it works. How does the electric furnace work? This component here clearly needs power. Electric, let's grab a top-notch solar panel. The Quantum, you just place it, it charges up, and there you go. Basically, it's a furnace that instead of using, well, what would be typical furnace elements like combustion, it uses electricity. As you can see, I've set it to smelt cobblestone, and the cool thing is it has upgrades. So if I take the upgrades, since there are different types, I can use the speed upgrade, for example. I'll add 4 speed upgrades. There it is. Now we've got a furnace working at full speed, which is much better, right? So yeah, that's really the potential of the electric furnace. How does the grinder work? This element here needs energy, so let's grab it and put a solar panel next to it, okay? To get it started, so it's charged up. Basically, this element is super important because it lets us duplicate objects. You might ask, what do you mean by duplicating objects? Well, it's more about duplicating elements. So what do I mean by that? Let me explain. As you can see, it has tons of uses, like taking a block of sodalite and getting 2 sodalite powders. This way, you double the sodalite. Got it? Instead of getting 1, you get 2. Same goes for tin, silver, lead, iron. It gives you 2 instead of 1. Same with gold, obviously, or with netherite. Check it out. You get 2 netherite scrap. Of course, the trade-off is energy and time. So, well, we can have the energy covered, right? You see, an ender pearl gives you 2 ender pearl dusts, but then those dusts, normally you'd only get 1, you know? The grinder helps with that, turning lots of items into powders for more materials. Basically, it's a trade-off between energy and time, okay? So, if we use the overclockers, right? We put this here. These upgrades will make the grinder work much faster. I think we'd benefit from speeding up these kinds of tools this way. The usual cost of electricity and time would already be covered. So yeah, that's how the grinder works. How does the alloy smelter work? The alloy smelter runs on electricity. Let's power it up. This machine, as you can see, helps us maximize resources and create metal alloys. Normally, 10 gold ingots and 10 netherite scrap make 2.5 netherite ingots, but here you get 3. It also crafts imbar, electrum, bronze, and brass. All quite useful materials. You can obtain the alloy smelter itself. All this, of course, in exchange for a bit of energy. A bit of energy and quite a bit of time, actually. Let's see. Utility takes 30 seconds. Yes. We can speed this up with overclocker upgrades. I've added them all to make it much faster. How does the wire mill work? Basically, this machine serves us as its name suggests. Wire means cable. More or less got it. It's for wiring. Essentially, it transforms any type of ingot into what we call the cable section. Understand? Then we can use this cable for wiring, for insulating, which allows us to cover it with wooden plates and such. To use it, we need power. We can use a solar panel or any similar element. We can also add upgrades like speed improvements and so on. And that's what this machine does. What does a compressor do and what's it used for? How does it work? Basically, it needs energy to function, right? We can use a solar panel, which I'll install myself. Once it's charged, we'll see that the compressor does more than just help with crafting. It's not for crafting all game plates, okay? As you can see, there's a plate for literally everything. All of these are plates, and while they're not useful for making a school, their primary purpose is for crafting. Plates open up a huge world of possibilities and allow us to progress in the mod. Since these tools take a long time to make, I recommend using grates if you have the materials to craft the speed ones, so you can go a bit faster. How does the assembling machine work? What does it do? Well, it requires energy. If we look inside, we'll see it needs power. We can easily connect it to a power source. As we'll see, the assembling machine gives us extra crafting options and mod compatibility. It provides extra recipes, and with other mods, we'd have even more crafting options. It's also useful for some automation tasks. In utilities, I can craft a bed with yellow dye and wood. This is a simple example, but it's useful for windmills, templates, beds, and more. All kinds of templates and beds. We can use it to make a lithium battery, an energy crystal, some saltpeter, an electronic circuit. It adds recipes you might not know where to put otherwise. These are crafting recipes you'll definitely need. You'll end up using this tool one way or another, so I recommend maybe adding some upgrades to it. How does the chemical reactor work? What's it for? It needs a power source, basically. I'll use a solar panel, like with the others. We can upgrade it. This device is for chemical reactions. It's called a chemical reactor. What do you expect? Some reactions are simple, like yellow dye plus terracotta, and reactions that it's got 168 pages, okay, so it clearly has tons of stuff. Most seem pretty decorative. It's not essential from what I can tell. Let me check for anything cool, but it's mostly decor, so yeah, it's kind of extra. Yep, nothing really important here. It's a bit extra, mainly for decorations. How does the extractor work? It runs on energy, like all other machines. Basically, the extractor's job is to, well, the name's a bit of a spoiler, right? It's bugging me to say extract here, okay? It extracts a particle from an element, so to speak. Got it? That's poorly explained, but anyway, like from ochre, it extracts yellow dye. Most items it processes are for dyes, so it's not super useful. I'm trying to see if there's any notable energy cost, but no. This thing's basically a fancy trash sorter, right? That's what I'd call it. Though for dyes, maybe it's better to skip it altogether, huh? Basically, I've noted here it gives you more items from primary objects. That's okay. How does the recycler work? The recycler needs energy to run, has 4 upgrades, and basically hides crafting recipes, but it converts any item type. When I say any item, I mean things like quantum, puma, or this extractor into scrap. I'll grab the upgrades, add speed upgrades to speed it up, and we'll use any item. Put it here and it makes scrap. Scrap makes scrap boxes, which can make the scrap box in Ator or be used for tons of crafting recipes. I think you can open scrap boxes or turn them into UU matter. So that's the info for you. I'll make a video on it. The scrap box, if crafted, has many uses. It's interesting that it can even give you diamonds. How does the industrial blast furnace work? Basically, the industrial blast furnace is a, well, what do you call it? A multi-block crafting setup, so to speak. It's a multi-block tool. Let's activate it here. Press H to see the entire crafting recipe. It mainly requires standard blocks called standard matching casing. Let's place them. It also needs lava. We put this here, fill it up bit by bit, add lava, and repeat. Add lava again. Finally, we cover it without any issues, and then it should work. As you can see, it shows a temperature of 1860. Using industrial parts instead gives 3730 degrees. The temperature difference allows melting various materials. We're looking at its various uses. It can make things like hot tungsten steel ingots. That needs 3000 degrees. We see all the recipes this furnace unlocks. It's really quite fascinating. It needs power. Keep that in mind. You'll need to connect a power source. That's about it. How does the industrial grinder work? While the normal grinder turned items into powders, the industrial grinder does the same, but gives us many more resources. For example, tungsten now yields 2 tungsten, 7 iron nuggets, and manganese stacks. Well, manganese, or maybe it's magnesium. So it converts ores or any item into multiple resources, which is clearly profitable. It costs water, which you can add manually or use a pump. I'm not sure if you know what a pump is, but I'll show you with water. Let's try it out. It charges with energy, fills with water, and theoretically pushes resources upward. Obviously, the industrial grinder needs to be set up to accept resources. You configure it so the water fills automatically using a pump. You set up the pump to manage fluids from this point. I told it, or I ignored it. The pump doesn't care either way. I set it to configure fluids with the bottom part receiving water, and it seems the pump didn't need any extra instructions. I connected the solar panel directly to the industrial grinder, and now everything's working. Basically, the industrial grinder, which I haven't mentioned yet, helps us obtain all kinds of resources. To set it up, place it at the second block height, press H, and it'll ask for different blocks. These odd sounding blocks are just the standard machine casing and advanced machine casing. You do it like this. Fill it in, put water in the center where the bucket is. I won't get it now. Fill it up and you're done. And there you have it, our amazing furnace or grinder. How does a vacuum freezer work? This component here clearly requires energy. Let's add a solar panel to charge it. The vacuum freezer's main function is to transform elements. Its primary use is creating tungsten steel and helium plasma. To craft it, place blocks at 1, 2, 3, 3 height. Press H to see the crafting recipe. Use advanced and industrial machine casings. The center doesn't need anything, as you can see. Finally, fill in the rest and there you have it. Add a solar panel or any power source and it's ready. What's an implosion compressor for and how do you make it? Basically, to make it, we set it at a height of 3. Now it's at 3 high, 1, 2, 3, and we simply press H. As you can see, the crafting is quite simple. It requires advanced machine casings. We place them like this, leaving the center empty and finish building around it. The center stays hollow for the implosions. Now it's functional, as you can see. It needs power, maybe a solar panel nearby to charge it. We click on Utility, and you can see it's used to change various compound crafting recipes for interesting items like sapphire dust and 16 TNT, 3 sapphires and 12 dark ashes, which can be useful. 9 netherite nuggets, a netherite ingot, and 4 netherite ingots. It's not much more than that, but there's the appeal. You know, diamond dust can be extracted or even duplicated from diamonds, so it's a way to get diamonds or even set up a diamond farm. How does the sawmill work? You basically set up the sawmill, place the H, put it 1 block high, and as you see, it shows the crafting. You need to put water in the center and the various required elements, which are the standard blocks of matching casing and advanced blocks of matching casing. Once done, it needs power, which you can easily provide there. In utilities, we see it needs water too. We could add water with a pump. Well, I ended up getting water. Use a pump, place blocks, add water, and it should collect water. Let's see if it works. It's exhausted. I don't get why this is funny. Look, there it is. It's doing something there. So, this component will collect water, or at least it should. I'd like to wait for it to start working. Once it's collected the water, it'll send it upwards. How can we make this receive fluids? Basically go to Xiaomi, left click fluid input and set it to input in blue. Hit pull in like I've done here, just hit pull in and you're done. I've also clicked configure slots and set this to output. I've set it to auto output. For the fluid part, I've set everything to green. Not sure if that's why pull in isn't working. There, I've fixed it. Now it's actually collecting water. Seems it doesn't need energy for pumping, I think. If it does, we can add a solar panel here. That'll provide energy without any issues, so that's how we set up the Xiaomi. I think I've explained its purpose. If not, it's for water and energy, which we can automate. It helps convert wood items to get sawdust. Sawdust with Umata casts various items like saplings or wood, compost for wooden plates for cable decoration. In the upgrades section, we have the overclocker upgrade. It's applied by opening a machine and you'll see the upgrades on the left. If you add this to a machine, it seems to double the storage capacity. Let's see. 128, yes, that appears to be correct. What it does is reduce the generation or crafting time by 25%. So if something took 10 seconds before, it'll now take 7.5 seconds. On the other hand, energy consumption per tick increases by 75%, which I assume is what causes the overall energy use to go up, so that's what this upgrade does. The transformer upgrade improves the energy level, or more accurately, the energy tier. What's this useful for? It's helpful when we're using a machine at full capacity and need to switch to a different energy type, or when we need to upgrade our machine from, say, medium tier to high tier, for wiring reasons or otherwise. We apply the transformer upgrade to achieve high tier. That's its main function. What does the energy storage upgrade do? Basically, it improves storage by 40,000 points. I apply this and now it literally has 40,000 points. I find this interesting considering you can use the overclocker upgrade. Right now it has 128,000. I add this, it's 192,000, and with that it'd be 168,000. So if you want a space upgrade, the overclocker is really the best. It's true that what it does is reduce energy per tick by 75%. That's the downside, but I still think the overclocker is more efficient. Just add more power and you're set. Alright, lastly we have the muffler upgrade. This upgrade simply silences the machine. Some machines are noisy, I play at 9% volume for fun, but some are really loud. If we just want to mute it, we add this upgrade and boom, it's silent. How does the auto crafting table work? I've set up a process to make the auto crafting table work automatically. This device opens and requires energy. I've connected it to a solar panel, as you can see. Let's allow it to charge up. This device lets you set a crafting recipe. For example, I'll use wood to make sticks. I've set sticks here. This lock button fixes the recipe. Now when I add wood, it'll spread it and start crafting automatically. There it is, crafting the sticks. I can move sticks and configure slots, which you likely know how to do. And that's how the auto crafting table works. How do unit towers work? First, understand there are many storage types. Here are all the types. Normal stores 1 item, raw 2048, basic 8192, advanced 32,768, industrial 65,536, and quantum a whopping 33,554,431 stacks. Incredible, right? Obviously this is very expensive. So what do Johnny Towers do? If we have a crafting wheel, we can set it to auto input items from below, blue area, pick up dirt from a chest and output it above. In this case, it's a way to move objects from one place to another, like from the chest to the recycler. But we could also use it to store items, okay? So if we want to store an item and don't want to remove it or pick it up yet, we can leave it here in the car, alright? We can do this anytime here, since we're out of blocks now. I'll let it fill up with the other type of block. There are different types, you see. I've placed it, I've put you, okay? I'll remove the dirt so you can see. I'm going to grab this chesty and mix things up a bit, alright? Let's fill this up quickly so you can see that when it's full, we can take it out anytime. We open it and say, hey, I need to go, then grab it just like that. We can do this manually if we want, okay? And well, this obviously has a capacity of 1096. I think it was 2048, but some have much more capacity, as you've seen, right? How does the matter fabricator work? This block here has a simple purpose, to create matter. That's its sole function, to manufacture matter. You might ask, what does it use to make matter? If I use oak planks, it's 100% charged but does nothing. It uses scrap and scrap boxes. I think only scrap boxes work. There it is. Scrap boxes work too. Basically, it takes scrap in bulk and converts it to matter. That's what it does. I'll remove the scrap so you can see it make UU matter. I've connected a solar panel for automatic operation. UU matter is useful for making a bit of everything. It can literally create anything, as we're seeing. It's incredibly powerful. This material is probably one of the most overpowered. Obviously, I've gone through a whole process here. This block is very expensive, not to mention energy costs. How do you get U matter? I've explained storage units, recycler, autocrafting, etc., but I haven't shown how to get U matter automatically. This element can be automated like many others. I'm just using this as an example. What I've done with the recycler to explain its function is convert any item using energy. I'll put a solar panel here. It uses energy to create scrap from any object, regardless of what it is. I've made a path with a storage unit, a raw one, and configured the slot. I set it to in, meaning the input is at the bottom, colored blue, with auto input enabled. I've told it to take all objects from the bottom. In this case, inside the chest was this dir path element, which is what's catching me. Then for the output, I've set it to send upwards. As you can see in orange, it's set to auto output. I tell it to send up. And for the recycler in configure slots, we go to input. As you can see, it's receiving. So the recycler receives it, and then I tell it whatever comes out as scrap, send it to the right. There, orange output, it sends to the right. Now let's move on to auto crafting. Auto crafting is set with 9 scrap, like this, bam, locked, and it spreads scrap and crafts with energy too. This also needs power. There's a solar panel behind it, so the solar panel, it's pretty much the same. I've set up one of the slots here with an input on the left, which is where it receives objects, and I've told it, hey, the output, send it to the right side. On the right side, there's another storage unit. Here, I've put a storage unit to store the scrap, just because I wanted to, and to have a buffer in case I run out of power in the matter fabricator, which can happen. though it's very unlikely. It's not really necessary. We could connect the matter fabricator directly. I do the same process, receive in input, send in output, and here I basically receive it in input. I receive it and leave the matter here, not sending it anywhere. Though I could send it right to another storage unit. I haven't done that yet. So basically you activate this process here. This has 4 upgrades. As we can see, it has 4 overclocker upgrades to run at full speed. Here's a bit of auto crafting which works correctly, as you can see. Here we have the energy that's being consumed. It's melting the energy. So that's how this small machine works to get this item automatically. How does the charger mat work? I've got it charging here. It stores up to 100 million energy and has a quantum solar panel. The charger mat has various uses. For instance, let's say we have the best armor in the game, the quantum armor. You take the charger mat and it lets you charge different tools simultaneously. The charger mat can charge up to 6 tools at once. And really, what it's useful for is charging not just tools, but any type of armor and any kind of object. That's what the charger mat is for. We can also do this with other devices like batteries. I'm using an MFE, but there are others. Batteries simply store energy. You can use an MFE, MFSU, interdimensional SU, or a battery box, whatever you prefer. So yeah, that's what it's used for. So how do we charge any tool? Let's say we have, for example, I'll pick a tool that charges fairly quickly. Look at these electric tree taps, right? We can use a tool called charge or mat. We put it here, okay? Obviously it needs to be charged. I've connected it to a solar panel. It charges quickly here as it already has energy. You can charge up to 6 items at once, like this quantum armor here, but I can also charge it with an MFE, okay? I can use an MFE, which is basically any battery. I've used this battery as an example, but you can use any other to charge it, or even discharge it if you change your mind, I think. Let's see. Oh, well, no, actually you can't discharge it. You can use batteries like MFE, lithium backpack, or Patrone core pack, clocking device. As you've seen, these last 3 are portable batteries, right? These batteries, when in your inventory, automatically charge items that need charging. It'll draw energy from this element here, as you can see. It charges by itself. These portable batteries include the red cell, lithium, energy crystal, apatron, and apatronic energy orb. I think the apatronic orb pack is the best. Well, they're pretty similar. The two are quite alike, okay? So you can equip it, but it's not necessary. Let me show you how it works, alright? So how does this electric tree tab work? Well, it's a rechargeable tool that lets us collect resin from trees with a right click. That's its sole purpose. It's not automatic, but that's what this tool does. How does the Nano Saber work? It's an energy charge tool with 1,000,000 energy that basically deals 21 damage per hit. You can take on an iron golem and absolutely destroy it. It deals massive damage and uses energy, but we're talking about taking down an iron golem in just 4 hits. It's incredibly powerful. Each hit uses about 200 energy, and that's what the Nano Saber does. How does the drill work? The drill is basically a tool that helps us break both dirt and stone. Basically, the basic drill works like an iron pickaxe or shovel, but mines at diamond speed. This means you can't mine things like netherite with it, for example. The diamond-tipped drill works like a diamond pickaxe, mining any material. The industrial drill mines in a 3x3 area. To show you how it works, I'll go over here. I'll switch to survival mode. As you can see, it mines normally and grass a bit faster. The diamond-tipped one is faster, and the 3x3 drill mines, well, a 3x3 area. It instantly mines dirt. All these drills use energy so we can recharge them without any issues. How do chainsaws work? There are 3 levels. The best way to show you is by using them on trees. The main difference is their mining speed. We have the basic chainsaw, which is basically a saw that mines at a speed, I think it was iron axe or diamond axe, I think iron. Let's switch to survival mode. There's the speed, seems to be diamond level. Then we have the advanced chainsaw, which does similar things. As you see, it also breaks leaves. Lastly, we have the industrial chainsaw. It breaks the whole tree at once. Well, maybe not this one, but theoretically. It's inactive now. We need to activate it. Crouch, right click, activate. And now it breaks the entire tree in one go. There it is. I recommend cutting from the bottom. There it is, boom. As you can see, it's quite effective. They all need energy so we can recharge them. That's the good part. And that's how chainsaws work. How does the jackhammer work? Basically, they mine like a pickaxe, these elements. Let's go to a mining area, and if I switch to surreal, you'll see. As you can see, it struggles with dirt. It's not for soil, but mines as fast as a diamond pickaxe. This mines 1x1, this 3x3, and this last one 5x, or theoretically it mines in 5x. As you can see, it's now active. Right click to set it to 3x3 or 5x, and as you see, it mines 5x5, making a 5x5 area. It's powerful, uses energy, so we can recharge them anytime, and that's what they do. How does the wrench tool work? Basically, this tool lets us rotate objects. For example, we can rotate this implosion compressor, and if we want, we can crouch and right-click to directly drop the implosion compressor with all its contents. By the way, if we try to find one, this one has upgrades. Let's pick it up. As you can see, it says 4 upgrades. So when I place this item, it'll have the upgrades. Now the big question, if it has inputs, does it copy those too? Let's grab this crate. It has its own inputs. We'll place it back down and check if they're saved. Indeed, the inputs and output have been saved. That's the magic of the wrench. It saves all the information about an object for us. What does the Omni tool do? It's a regenerable tool that gives us optimal mining speed for any object type. It's a multi-purpose tool that can remove grass, rock and trees. That's what this tool is designed for. It does all this very efficiently. And that's about it. How does the rock cutter work? Basically, this tool has the ability to have silk touch. I'm not sure if it comes with silk touch when crafted or if you need to add it, but it can definitely have silk touch. The wiki says it always has silk touch, which isn't true. It's used for mining rock. It's called rock cutter, so it's for mining rock. This gives me covert stone, but with silk touch it gives me stone. Maybe it's the only item in the mod you can enchant with silk touch. But anyway, there you have it. That's what this tool does. How do all the armors in the Tech Reborn mod work? Well, as you can see, there are many armor sets. Each has its own wiki page with detailed info. For vanilla armor, max defense is 20 with 12 toughness. Bronze gives 16, ruby 16, sapphire 16, silver 11, and quantum 20 defense. As you can see, silver armor has the best enchantability by far. You might be looking confused, thinking, aren't these armors trash? Not quite. Take quantum armor, for example, that uses energy and can be optimized. Though I think some of this data isn't entirely accurate. The claim of 20 armor for a full set is false. Let me equip a helmet so you can see it. I have full armor here. This armor gives me plus 20 armor and plus 20 knock resistance. The leggings give plus 0.15 speed, okay? You'll see plus 0.15 speed on screen. I don't quite get the 0.15 comma, but you move much faster. The million-dollar question, does it use energy? I can't say for sure, but I assume it doesn't. I've read that beyond armor points, it does something else. If I check here, it should tell me it absorbs 80% of damage. There are more armors I don't fully understand yet, okay? At least I've found this incredible armor, which is this one here, okay? This armor is called Nano. This Nano armor gives us night vision effect. I assume it's from the helmet. If I set it to nighttime, you'll see I have night vision, okay? It uses helmet energy, yes, but I have night vision too. I see perfectly at night, so that's a bit about all the armors, okay? Right, there's nothing else super relevant to mention. How do all the villagers in Tech Reborn work? Well, basically the villagers are made with... There are 2 villagers. One made with a generator and another with an iron alloy furnace. That's what the wiki says, but there might be more, okay? Now the first villager, an electrician, has crafting recipes you can see here. I'll show you the exact table. As a novice, the electrician can give 6 rubber for an emerald, 3 copper ingots for an emerald, and an emerald for 3 insulated copper, but anyway. As you see, he trades gold cables, batteries, generators, advanced circuits, fiber and glass cables, red lamps, and lithium batteries, so he's pretty overpowered. And then there's the metallurgist. The really interesting things he can give are advanced circuits, carbon fiber, electrum ingots, and advanced alloy ingots. He gives all kinds of ingots and it's quite interesting. As you can see, the crafting recipes are what they are. They haven't changed much, they're the same, and that's what these villagers do. And as for extra features of the mod, well, they're just that, extras. For example, we have the fishing station, which requires electricity to operate, and what it does is basically retrieve items from the sea. It doesn't exactly function like a fishing rod, though it looks like one. But since I haven't caught anything unusual, I assume it doesn't. However, it would be a way to get food, and considering there are electric ovens, it could even be used automatically to produce food. So let me show you a bit about how the fishing station works. We have a gas turbine that runs on electricity. Oh no, it doesn't run on electricity, my mistake. It runs on gas, yes of course, that makes sense. It actually works with hydrogen and methane, okay? It lets us convert methane, probably waste, into energy. Got it? It's an active generator, stores up to 1 million energy, and there it is. How does the industrial centrifuge work? As you can see, it needs power, so let's connect it. Basically, this industrial centrifuge lets us get various extra crafting recipes, some even random, but for example, from an empty cell and apples, you can get methane, which you can use in the gas turbine, which is now generating power with methane. One of this tool's amazing uses. It's simple to use and opens up many possibilities, especially with capsules and powders of different elements, which could lead to interesting crafting. How do tanks work? What are tanks used for? Basically, I didn't explain it well, but here's what they're for. B. Anything with B relates to water or liquids. They're mainly used for fluid storage, typically with this slot setup. Here we have the fluid config that lets us store any type of liquid. I'll grab 30k of Kulan here. Not sure if it'll let me. Seems it won't. Oh, look, now it has. It lets me add potassium, for example. So you take it, add potassium, and as you see, it stores it. It's stored 9% so far. This is manual, obviously, using slots. But we can use pumps too. Pumps are used to transfer fluids and such, so you can do quite a lot with them. As you see, storage starts at 128B, then 512B, 1020B, and 2140B. Sorry, I mean MB, that's millions. Almost the same thing. So yeah, that's what tanks do. So how do scrap boxes and nators work? Well, this element here needs power and just opens scrap boxes, okay? It opens them automatically. A craft box can give you up to 93 times 3 in utility. This box here just opens them automatically, that's its job. We'd need to set up slots, mainly output, to send items elsewhere, right? It could open boxes automatically. Basically, it's just for opening scrap boxes. How this bread thing works, I'll show you live how it functions. See, I have this industrial grinder here, okay? I'll break it, put it back, and basically set up a couple of slots here, alright? I'm setting up the fluids and telling it to receive fluids, okay? It's receiving fluids now. The bread, which is down here, needs electricity, got it? It needs electricity to suck up water. With this power, what it's going to do is, it needs water nearby, okay? It'll store this liquid, which is water, and send it upwards. The setting to send it up is already configured. I haven't touched anything, okay? But I did go to set up slots, alright? And I've set the output to go upwards. This isn't really helpful, honestly. I think it just does it automatically, right? I mean, it's automatic, isn't it? I don't think we need to adjust anything. The pump just sends it upwards as the arrows show. But I guess it could be set to pump sideways too. That's basically what it does, you know? Moving fluids up and down, got it? So that's what matters to us. By the way, it doesn't generate energy, which we might mistakenly think. It uses energy, not produces it. Now we can collect the water, and that's about it.